Now have a look at what's ahead of us. You know, we've got Eau Rouge, and I tell you now, even on this video, it really doesn't do justice to just how steep that corner is. And I've driven, as I said, hundreds and hundreds of laps around this place, and every time you look at it, you do think to yourself, how on earth can we drive through that? Hello guys, welcome back to On Track GP. Richard here, and obviously we've got the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa coming up this weekend. It's a privilege to have driven this circuit hundreds of times in many different cars. You know, Spa's legendary amongst drivers, of course, with corners like Eau Rouge, but not just Eau Rouge. You've got others, you've got Pouhon, but it's just the whole atmosphere of the place. Obviously, racing in such a cool environment with the elevation, with the trees and everything, the high-speed corners, which we all love. So I'm about to take you for a lap round Spa in an LMP2 sports car. So we've got a V8 behind us, which is generating about 650 horsepower. And yeah, come see it through my eyes. So we come out of the bus stop. It's always very bad traction out of the bus stop, actually. Going down the start-finish straight, quite a short start-finish straight, over to the left. Now you can already see approaching turn 1 La Source how steep uphill the braking zone actually is. So you can brake deceptively late here, even though it's a very tight corner. So down to first gear, extremely tight as you can see. Now we've got such a long straight, it's so important to be on the power as early as you can, using all the curb on the exit. Overtaking the slower car coming out the pits there. Now have a look at what's ahead of us. You know, we've got Eau Rouge, and I tell you now, even on this video, it really doesn't do justice to just how steep that corner is. And I've driven, as I said, hundreds and hundreds of laps around this place, and every time you look at it, you do think to yourself, how on earth can we drive through that? And it's just such a spectacular corner. Even though in a Formula One car or a very high downforce prototype like I'm in here, it's easy flat. So we come up to it, and then we get as close to the wall on the right hand side as possible to open up the corner as much as we can, use as much curb as we can on the left, as you can see, and then have a look at that as we're going through the right. This is literally what a driver is seeing. We're just seeing sky, and you know, you're just hoping that the track's still there. Of course you know it is, but yeah, it's quite easy flat out in a high downforce car, but still it really gets your attention. And now you've cleared it, you're onto the long Kemmel Straight, which again is deceptively steep uphill. I can tell you from having ridden a bike up this many times. But now you've got a bit of time, you check your gauges, you make sure everything's good. And because of how steep uphill it is, look at how late we're able to brake for Lecombe, the 3 apex chicane. Turn in, take a lot of the curb on the right, take some of the curb on the left, and get over as quick as you can. Set yourself up for this last right to get a good exit. And I tell you, when you nail those 3 corners together, it's so satisfying, because you just see your lap time delta on the steering wheel come down, and you know you've done a good job. Now this corner up here is one of the hardest corners on the track in my opinion, because as you can see, it's very steep downhill, but it drops away. So it's very, very easy to lock up the front right. And the corner goes on forever and ever, and you always have understeer there because of the downhill nature of it. And then you've got to get back over for a corner we call the no-name. It's actually officially called Speaker's Corner, but just universally amongst drivers, we know it as the no-name. They've resurfaced it recently, which is a good thing, because there used to be a huge bump there. And here, again, you've got a bit of a straight after, so it's about carrying as much speed as you can, opening up the corner, using all of that curb on the exit. And the curb there is just paint, so it's very easy to run, like a lot of the corners in Spa. Now we're coming up to another spectacular corner. As you can see, very, very steep downhill, and this is Pouhon corner. Now Pouhon is a difficult one because, again, the curb in between the 2 apexes is paint. So what happens is we always use it, and as the weekend goes on, more and more rubber goes on the curb, which means that the white line and the curb actually become blacker, which means it becomes harder and harder to spot where the track limits are because it blends in with the tarmac. Plus the fact that it's downhill and your car naturally understeers through here, it means that you turn in, you're committed. So if you're going too slow on the entry, you can't really make up for it, and if you're going too quick on the entry, you can't really compensate for that. So you kind of have to arrive knowing how your car's behaving. But I always say with Pouhon, if I've got a perfect car in Pouhon, I've got a bad car for the rest of the track, because I'm going to have too much oversteer, because of how steep downhill it is. The natural topography of the circuit means you're going to understeer. But it's such an epic corner. You turn in, you gently put the car into the apex, carry that speed, and you're just going through this last apex thinking, wow, that was awesome. Again, checking your delta, seeing your time. Now coming up to the chicane, I think it's Stabilo, I can't remember the name exactly, but there's a big bump under braking here. Now this doesn't affect the Formula One cars as much because they brake after us, but for us it has quite a bit of an effect, and you have to think about it. You can see it going over it there, but there's good grip on entries. You can see you get very close to the curb on the right. But then the left is a bit strange. You kind of lose a bit of grip, and you know, you have to be a bit careful of the rear coming out, so you're a little bit timid through there. So you can see I've got a bit of sliding, and also the curb is not just paint here like some of the others. It's a very aggressive curb, and you can quite easily bottom out, and it's very common to actually see downforce cars end up in that wall on the left hand side. So it's something to think about. Again, we come out and look at how steep downhill this next corner is, and there's a gravel trap there. So again, with such a long straight coming up, you don't attack the braking zone too much. You just think about getting that exit, because that straight, even though you've got some corners, you know, like Blanchimont, etc., you're going to be flat out for nearly 2 kilometers. So you got to slow in and then get on that power as soon as you can. I got a bit of understeer there, but I managed to hold it together. Go flat out now onto the back straight, which again is a very, very deceptively long and uphill straight. Of course, we've got Blanchimont coming up, but Blanchimont in a high downforce car, it's an easy flat corner. But I tell you, you never get used to how fast this corner is. The first time you do it flat on every test, you go, whoa, that's fast. And again, you have a quick check of your delta. As you can see, on the top left of my steering wheel, I've got green, which means I'm on a good lap. So coming to the bus stop, I'm thinking the bus stop always has less grip than the rest of the track, and it's very, very bumpy on the braking zone. So I'm going to be a bit more conservative here. You know, you can see how those bumps affect us. You brake a little bit off them, and then how little grip there is here. But then, unfortunately, I say I was going to be conservative. I was on the braking, but I got a bit greedy on the throttle here, and you can see the lack of grip there is there. And yeah, I get track limits, but haven't we all, you know? And again, but it's cool because of that lack of traction on the bus stop. It's very easy to actually set up a pass into turn 1, into La Source. And obviously the track is so wide there. So yeah, it's anytime you get to drive a circuit like Spa, you pinch yourself a little bit, because it's really what us drivers all enjoy. And I'm sure it's in every driver's top 3 circuits. So I'm actually very jealous of the F1 guys this weekend. So I hope that's given you a bit more of an insight into Spa. I hope you're going to enjoy the race as much as we are. We'll be covering it all on Track GP. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what your favorite circuit is. And yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you again.